Welcome back, Mr. Goodberry. The First Star Logistics studio is fully equipped and ready to record.
The Bengals are spending a lot of their pre-draft resources, mainly their 30 visits, where you can bring in prospects from outside and around the country into Cincinnati, into Paul Brown Stadium, Paycor Stadium, and get to know them a little bit more. And they're spending those resources on offensive tackles and nose tackles. And while we've looked at a lot of offensive linemen and pre-episodes where we broke down the film of many of these prospects on Bengals on the Brain presented by First Star Logistics, one guy that's getting closer to pick 18 in mocks and was brought in for a 30 visit by the Bengals, Washington's Troy Fautanu, the 5-year player at Washington who played pretty much only left tackle, 100 snaps at guard, 2 snaps at right tackle. So if you want him to play any of those positions, we'll have to see. I'm not going to dive too much into what he is and isn't just yet. I've got 2 games I want to show that I think represent what he is. I've had a film grade on him since we started this process. I just didn't think he was interesting enough to do a video on because I couldn't get a feel for where he should go. Now that we have a good idea, and now that we know that the Bengals are interested in him, let's dive into the film and see what Troy Fautanu offers Cincinnati. Troy Fautanu versus Michigan. This is the championship game, so we got a big game here. It's one of his best games graded by PFF. For a guy that only gave up 2 sacks all year, so you're not going to see too many of those happen. We're looking for traits here. And again, I already cut this up into the plays that I thought were most interesting or telling of who he is as a player. If you're new to this, they are not highlights. There's going to be lowlights and highlights. It's going to be evaluation pieces, if you will. And we got left tackle there, number 55 is Fautanu. He just wants to seal this off and keep 17 to the inside, right? Let's say we want to keep this guy 17 inside. Well, we make a wall here and a wall here to allow the running back to cut up, right? Very simple concept here. So let's keep him inside and see if we can. And we cannot. And when it gets to this point here, he has lost leverage. He has lost that guy to the outside. But Fautanu stays with him and drives him. Doesn't allow that defender to disengage and make a play on the runner. So that's good. You know, there's good and bad with that play here. So we're staying there, and we're gonna go out and on a screen pass here. He's gonna come out and take 23, the guy that looks a lot like Mike Hilton for Michigan. So there you see, got him latched on, and we're gonna drive him into the ground here. So these are things you definitely will see. Good grip strength, finishing plays very often. He is nasty. He's got a streak to him. You will see this also where I feel like there are times he can get going one way and thrown the other way by defenders, right? And that's, I mean, this may not be a great example because you don't always know where the quarterback or the running back is. So you're kind of playing it like you're expecting the quarterback to still be in the middle of the pocket here. So yeah, of course I'm going to go inside with you. And then when the quarterback breaks out, he's going to go by. But it is a trend that you will see in a lot of his tape where I feel like he gets manipulated by defenders maybe a little bit too much. You see him going inside there, looking for the stunt. It's not there. Check 23 a couple times. Okay, 23 is coming. That's their Mike Hilton. And he goes and picks it up. So good heady play on that one. You're going to see him a lot of times he'll give that false hand and then pull it back to get the defender to show what he's doing, which you see right there, the swipe by 8, when you're not actually throwing a move out there. And then you'll see a lot of times he goes back with a 2-hand punch or 2-hand, any move where he's trying to grab and get a hold, but he does it typically with 2 hands. And we'll get to a plays of why I'm emphasizing the 2-hand punch with him because it's not something I'm a big fan of. So now he's got a block 55. 55 right here is going to be a top 10 pick next year. So he's got to come down, and there you go. You're in great position here. Other than the foot, you know, this may be the reason why he ends up losing this rep is you're tangled up with 5 here at the defensive end spot. But 55 for Michigan is going to get back into position here and absolutely clear the running back. So if you saw that, let's watch it in full speed again as Fautanu gets in good position here, loses it again, and allows that defender to collapse and make a play. So that's not ideal. That's our first probably complete loss. Whereas earlier on that one play on the run play, I would say it was a loss, and then he did well to stay with it. So we're flipping it around second quarter now. See the way he is going to brace and absorb for contact here. He realizes the power rush is coming. We're not talking about a guy who is very strong. I know he plays with nasty. I know he plays with an attitude and he finishes, but I don't think he's very strong. And yeah, he doesn't give up a sack, but you could argue this is a pressure here. And we've got, I mean, this guy's winning absolutely clearly here. And we got to chase and flush that quarterback out. So if Fautano didn't hold his ground enough here, this would be an easy sack and a collapsing pocket. So he did what he had to do, and he held on just long enough to allow his quarterback to escape and get to the outside. But we're going to see power a couple times where it looks like an issue for him here. Let's put this one in slow motion. As you can see, two-hand punches. Okay, for a second there, if we can. Why don't I like two-hand punches? We would rather, and a lot of people are watching this, and if you played offensive line, you were probably taught to punch with two hands. You don't see it much anymore into college, and especially in the NFL, because the pass rushers are too good. They're not going to give you the middle of their chest, number one. And number two, it gives them one target to knock away instead of independent hands. You will hear Willie Anderson, great because of independent hands. He can put one out there. You knock it down, he replaces it with the other one until he gets that other one back in there. So when you go with two hands and he knocks you down, you've got no recourse to recover and get back in this. And I would say Troy Fautanu is a two-hand puncher. And so he doesn't lose this one though. But you can see just a little bit there how off balance he is. I'll let this play go actually fully because I was talking through half of it. So you'll see as he leans forward, look how much he's leaning over his toes. Very far over his toes. That's off balance. Now he gets in good position here, good balance. And he wants to knock down that hand and wrestle and get back into a good situation, which he does. And we have a similar situation again here. So this is Chris Jenkins and Fautanu's got to go inside. And what's he do again? Two hands. And here's the bad part. The outside hand here, the left hand lands right down the middle of the chest of Jenkins. Outside hand to the middle is death, absolute death for blockers because you see Jenkins. I'm going to give him a different color so we can make sure you see that outside hand for him is swatting him down, right? That's the elbow goes this way. That was a very weird shaped hand, but now you can see it. The part that's not colored, he's going to swat down that outside hand. But Fautanu is going to have such a really good grip on him right here that you'll see Jenkins doesn't cleanly beat him, right? There's that grip. Where's it at? Fautanu, this is probably a hold, right? Look at this arm here. Stretched fully. He's still got a grip on the middle of the chest. More of the armpit. I can kind of see the armpit stretching a little bit. But this is a hold because, I mean, number one, you're beaten cleanly, but look where his head is. And his toes are back here. Like, this is a bad loss for the fifth-year starter in his last game in college football. I mean, we got to be a little bit better than this fundamentally at that point. You're lucky the running back was able to pick it up, and we didn't get a clean shot because the guy's wide open. If you can keep your quarterback clean there, it's a touchdown in the championship game. I want to go back a little bit because I think it's just an interesting play to talk about. You will see this a lot from Washington. So he's going to come out here, try and either get hands on these guys and like jump on them, and then he's going to run. He's going to protect in a almost a C shape, but so he's going to jump set and then get into protection, which honestly I think shocks these guys sometimes. You see it right there. The rusher completely stops. And then look at the depth he gains here so he can absorb any contact. The only reason he ends up in the quarterback's lap is because 55 for Michigan on the other side is an absolute freak. Not the complete other side. He's a defensive tackle, but he did come in from that other spot. I want to watch this play again here. I cut all these up for a reason. You see, he gets out of his stance very nicely. He is an athlete, no doubt about it. I think he's a little stiff sometimes. That's why he didn't do his agility test pre-draft. But you'll see he does get in there. And even there is good balance, good anchoring, holding up. He's giving a lot of Jonah Williams vibes, though, with how much ground he gives up and gets how close he ends up to the quarterback. I also don't think Penix is very good in the pocket. Now that I've watched Rosengarten and Fautanu, these guys are just gripping each other here. The D end actually has a grip on the left tackle, so I didn't knock him for that. There he's got 55s and going to end up driving him into the dirt on a touchdown pass. Not sure if it counted or not. I did see a flag there. Good pass off between the left guard and left tackle there, and the ball is intercepted. But, we got stunts and twists. We got to have guys we saw earlier with his head on a swivel. But you see the way he short sets, gets that hand out there, guard passes him off, and they swap, and they pick it up easy, right? No issue. So you want a heady guy. He's going to be 24 as a rookie. All right, get out in space. Go make that block. Same situation we had earlier. He handles it. He gets up to the second level, and he gets to corners and safeties and slot guys in the screen game pretty well. This is a play I wanted to talk about for sure because that 55 is an absolute beast. But you're going to block some beasts, right? You're going to block some really good players when you get to the NFL level, especially if you're playing guard. So he's going to end up taking them on, and he's got a bit of a running start here. You can blow these guys up. We've watched enough film. We've seen it enough times that if 71 just gets a piece of them before he climbs up and gets 23, you can tee off on these guys. Fautanu's not going to get any ground at all on him. So there's the contact. Two guys. He's going to eat this double team 55 and then shed you. And I think Fautanu's holding on too. I mean, nothing. And it's not just this play. We're going to see this again happen to Fautanu versus 55. Nice jump set. Get your two-hand punch and land at that time. If you miss the two-hand punch, it sucks. But when it lands, that's when he affects people. Good pickup. I think this is the play. If I were to point to a play that like O-line evaluators love, it'd be something like this because he's got to hold this guy up long enough for the running back to cut it up. And I think the running back is outside this guy that's falling right here. That's all shaped like a pretzel. So he's going to cut it up this way. And I think all you got to do is hold this guy long enough so he can't get over there and then watch how Fautanu redirects him after. So he holds him, right? This could be called, sure. But it's a nice play to spin him, get out in front of him again, and then box him out and wall him off. It's actually a very heady veteran play for him. You could get called for something like that. I don't think you would. Here we go again. Two-hand punch. Two-hand punch down the middle. Your head is not over your feet. You are completely off balance. This is called lunging. This will get beat more often than not in the NFL level. This should get you beat and get you beat very, very cleanly and badly at the NFL level. So let's see how Michigan's end deals with it. He gets run around the arc. I don't think he's good enough to take advantage of this completely. It's got to be a cleaner move. We watched defensive ends and edge rushers. He's going with a two-hand swipe here. Doesn't really knock it down good enough. And because of it, he's unable to gain this edge. Because, I mean, it's open. If this DN could cut the corner and run it, like Trey Hendrickson, this is a sack for Hendrickson, right? Clearly. But Fautanu gets just enough on him. He's able to recover. And it's the thing that I like about him so much is that he is athletic. So even if he's here, he opens it up, gets just enough on him, reaches that arm as long as he can. He's got 34-inch arms for a guy that's under 6'4". Impressive. And pushes that guy just far enough outside to get this pass off. That is independent hands here. So when I talk about two-hand punching and why it's so scary, here you want to see the use of independent hands. Well, to an extent, he actually does end up two-hand punching again, doesn't he? So let's watch this. There's one, there's two, and then now he's back to controlling with right arm until he gets the left arm back in there. That's an example of independent hands, despite having a two-hand punch on that. Okay, here we go. Same thing again. Here we go. He's going to have to tee off on 55 and blow this hole up open completely. We want to displace 55, get him to about right here, and we're going to pull and get here. We're going to pull and get here, or one of these guys are going to climb up and get 23. I don't remember the play exactly now that I'm doing it, but let's see how that works out. 55 eats it. Can we just watch 55 for a second? You'll see what I mean about Fautanu. All right, let's see how much power. Who's powerful here? Man, that guy's a beast. Absolutely. But there's Fautanu. Did you watch him now? Let's go back again. Watch 55 completely throughout this. R55, Fautanu. Now he gets up to 23. Finish him. Finish him. So we're not very strong at the point of attack, but athletic enough to get to number 23 and then nasty enough to finish it. There's value in that. There we go. Two-hand punch down the middle. Let's see. Can 17 break it this time? Oh, not so much. How about 8 going inside? Good job redirecting and staying with it. Again, 78 is allowed to redirect on him. Is this a sign of poor agility or just poor balance? I think it's more poor balance and over aggression in one direction out of Fautanu. I wanted to highlight and stop this one real fast because, again, we're going with the two-hand punch for him. Did you see he's going to jump set? And now he wants to get his hands on him and then regain ground. So he's going to push that guy out and then regain ground. But I think he gives up a little bit too much ground there because now all of a sudden, and again, there's 55 for Michigan, absolutely hitting the quarterback, but you're on the quarterback's lap again. Now 55 versus 55 on this next play. If he was a better athlete, so he's trying to swipe, he misses, the defender misses, still is able to get to the corner for a defensive tackle, and that ball's out very quickly. Pretty impressive, actually. I really like that D tackle. He gets out there. I don't want to really kill Mr. Troy F too much because he gets out of his stance so well. And then we're going to get a little power move, long arm power for 17. It's really going to lift up Fautanu and open up the inside to the quarterback, and it's picked off. Not Fautanu's fault, but I do think power is an issue for him. Good job controlling there and anchoring, absorbing that power move, that bull rush. Let's see if 17 can take an advantage of it. Oh, he gets chipped outside. A little bit of chip help. That's why I kept that in there. I wanted to see how often he was chipped. It wasn't very much. So again, here we are jumping out. We showed this one earlier where he's jumping out on the end, getting him to pause and hesitate. You can only do this when you got a really athletic lineman. And now we're kind of double clutching on the hit, and we've stopped our feet. So for me, once his feet stopped like this, and where's his weight look like it's shifted? That direction, right? Would you say it's going that way while he's reaching this way? He's off balance really bad. This is something we didn't talk about too much with these other guys because I never saw Mims off balance. I never saw JC Latham off balance. Fuaga, I thought had really, really good balance too, especially for a guy that wasn't as long as Fautanu. Now 17's got that corner. If this wasn't a quick pass, and they're asking him to do this, like jump set on these guys. It's opening this lane over the middle as they really spread out wide at Washington with their pass sets. Good job there. I think that was more of a D tackle type rusher. All right, we've got a blitz here. I want to show we've got a blitz coming through. We've got two guys coming through. Why are we going inside to help with the defensive tackle here? This running back can only come over and pick up one guy. We're going to have, you already see the quarterback rolling this way. So we're blocking this way with the O-line. It must have been based on a pre-snap look. And he already knows the unblocked guy is coming this way. So let's watch Fautanu. Does he know? Does he recognize it as well? I want to go back. Let me go back. I went back 2 plays. Bear with me. Okay, so here's going to be the blitz from the right side. Fautanu sees it. I think he recognizes it from behind him and almost just gets out an arm out there. Quarterback still takes a hit. And they run it again. Michigan's going to run this again. So let's see if we do anything different this time. No, we don't. Here comes two running free again to our quarterback. Do what you can, Troy. All right, fine. Moving right on to the next game versus Arizona. Not a game that I would consider his best game. I think this shows his highlights a little bit more, or I should say his lowlights a little bit more, and maybe doesn't put him in the greatest light. But I want that. I want to know what these guys, what their strengths and weaknesses are before they end up on the team, right? Let's not get surprised once they're the pick at 18. Let's know what they can be. And I think this is the game where I feel like I understand why teams or evaluators are putting him at guard. So again, we're jumping out there and working with this guy. This is great footwork. This is great hand usage, knocking that guy down, knocking those arms down, being aggressive, being tough for Troy Fautanu. Jumping on these guys again, but this time we lose a little bit of leverage. We lose a little bit of our length for a guy that's a little bit longer than what he appears to be at his size, at his height. He doesn't play with great length. And I think that's because here we went from a very nice and solid base, right? To, okay, now one foot goes wide because he faked us that way. And then the other foot goes wide. And I want that to look even wider because he steps out like that. So now your base is very wide. And we're going to lean and reach forward for this guy to get hands on him. He doesn't play very long at all. And what happens? He gives up that corner as his feet stopped. Again, we talked about this in one of the final plays in the Michigan game. There it is again, and it shows up fairly often on tape. And then you get these, though, where that looks like really, really good. He keeps his feet under him. He's square. You see, like even there, this could be potential for bad. Or just wait again, way over his toes, way out in front. I mean, a good pass rusher will make you pay here. But he does a good job flipping. You see that? You see him get his feet back in underneath him really fast and then get back into a nice square position, getting his butt to the quarterback. Those are his good reps for sure. Goes in and clears one guy, and then this one's funny. This is Troy Fautanu as well. So he's going to, there we go. Look at him. Look at his eyes right here. He's going to say, yeah, I can go in and help. I've got no one else coming. And what Arizona's going to do is bring a guy all the way from around. So watch how, I don't know if he should go and clear a guy that's so far out of that's not your area, right? You didn't need help. So now they're bringing him back across. He's coming back across to try and help. And that the quarterback just chucks the ball out of there. So I appreciate the aggressiveness. I'm just not sure it's warranted there. They didn't need your help. Oh, we're eating dirt a little bit on this one. So where he's getting a little overextended again. I don't know how they both end up falling. Not a great athlete he's blocking there. He's going to end up getting charged for a sack in this game at some point. Yeah, did you see that? These clips go much faster in this game. Watch him on this one. Get out and get on 46, and then he's going to drive him into the dirt. He latches on. When he latches on, man, he finishes these plays. He got, like this play, you allow 5 to get underneath you. I think it was 5 again. Yeah, that linebacker's blitzing again. And stand him up. Now he's got the inside and helps wash that run to the outside right. Fautanu ends up finishing and landing on top of him. So he does finish a lot of these blocks. I would like that nastiness on the offensive line for sure. And the athleticism, no doubt. Like that's a good block again. For getting out in space, of all the tackles I watched, he's in space the most. They really trust him to do it. His true pass sets, they're fully dropping back and throwing. 5-step drops. And he's out there. He's running with these guys, just trying to take enough off of them. I think we're going to get a shot at the quarterback here on this one. Let's watch Fautanu get out there and get in front. That's like David Bakhtiari. We got a two-hand punch that gets knocked down. Now this is a pretty big arc. Even the quarterback's already getting out here to throw this Hail Mary. So you really just got to keep running this guy around the arc as best as you can. Keep him away from your quarterback if you can stay with him. If you can open your hips up here and get hands on him, and he can't. Late hits. That's a penalty. I saw the flag. All right, third quarter now. We're going to pull him out, and we've got a missed block in space. He doesn't do this often, so I made sure I wanted to clip this because I think he actually lands in space pretty well. So he's going to, as I believe we're going to block down here, he's going to kick out and have to either get this guy, I can't remember which guy it is, but he's going to have to get a guy in space here. So let's keep our eyes on Fautanu as he gets around the outside. He's got this linebacker dead to right. Bang, hit that. You hit this. We got a seal here. We got a seal here, and we're going to hit that crack and go for it. Let's watch Fautanu, 55 there. If he can land this. No, he can't. And we get a tackle for a loss of a couple. There we go. We got him finishing again. Make sure to clip all the plays where he just mauls people. Wham! Jeez, dude. Like, I think people have fun watching him because of things like this. Watch as he gets out here. He realizes 90's not coming, right? And he's like, 90's not coming. He's going to divert his eyes back inside. Can I help my left guard here? Oh, I can. Yikes, rib shot. The running back's on the ground now, too. Nice throw. We got a big gain. Fautanu doing his job. Left tackle on an island. See how he sinks his feet, digs his heels in, drops his weight. Ideally, like when we were watching, I think it was Latham mostly. His weight would be into his butt. He'd be sitting like he's in a chair like this. Those are his feet. That's his butt. Those are his hands. When he's anchoring, the back foot would be like this. And all that weight looks like it's down into his butt. When you watch Fautanu do this, it reminds me a lot of Jonah, where he's digging his feet into him and he's leaning. His lean is like this, which is a way to anchor yourself. Don't get me wrong, but it's also a way to get beat. I feel like you see that with smaller guys. I really like his feet, though, the way he moves. I just don't like his balance as much, and I don't think he's very powerful. He's nasty, which is different than powerful. Well, not sure what we got going on here. We've got a bit of a mix-up. Busted blocking scheme here. 90 is going to end up coming free as Fautanu goes out this way, I believe, and he takes him. Let's watch it again. Watch 90. Okay. I don't know whose job that is or whose responsibility. I'm not going to guess so much on that. I'm just going to point it out because it's weird and it's on his side. There we go. We've got giving up the corner on this one. Running the arc. All right, so Fautanu here. This guy's going to take the arc and get to the quarterback. Again, it's his weight again, right? It's his balance. Here he's okay. It's the next frame. See if I can get it. I couldn't get it to pause there. See if I can get the right frame that I'm seeing. Yeah, it's just before that where he's leaning and his arms are outstretched. You knock that outside arm down, he stops his feet. He really is so off balance there that he can't stay with the play and can't flow with the play. He's giving up the inside on this one, and it's going to result in a sack. I believe this is a play. He gets charged with a sack. So he's been jumping out so much, and that's the thing. When you are pass setting so far wide out here, like Bakhtiari, and even Jonah Williams was doing this a lot. You'll get guys to go back inside if they can time it correctly. And that's what you're going to get on this play. Swim move back inside. Now the guard comes and helps. Good job fighting through it for the defensive end. He's not the one who gets the sack, but because of the chaos, the rest of the defensive line collapses onto the quarterback. And that was the final play of that one. I think Washington wins. Obviously, they won't go to the championship, but that was the final notable play for Troy Fautanu. So those are two games that I cut up because I thought they're the most representative of what I felt while watching Troy Fautanu. And a lot of people really, really like him. And I can see that because I think overall, technically, and his awareness are really advanced for a college player coming out. I like his feet and his movement skills. I can see he's an athlete for sure. He may have some core stiffness that I don't like, but I mean, that's probably why he didn't do his 3-cone and shuttle drills. But I can look past that if he was more powerful, if he was somebody that played with greater length, if he was a better run blocker at the point of attack, and if he played with more consistent balance and under control aggression. I definitely like that he's nasty. But again, I have issues with his power, his anchor, and his ability to displace linemen, defensive linemen at the point of attack. And we're talking about a guy who's already 23 in that film. Like, go back and compare that to Mims and Fuaga and Latham that were 20 and 21 years old when you're watching the film. 2-year difference. Yeah, he looks more advanced and more aware and sharper in a lot of ways because he's older and he's played longer and he's physically in his prime. Some of these other guys aren't there yet, and that makes me nervous. I would much rather take an Amarius Mims with less film, but less issues on film, right? So, yeah, they may pop up or may come up when defenses are attacking Mims because now we know he's playing. Now we know he's starting. Now we know what his strengths and weaknesses are. When he's only playing half the game, you're not really trying to focus on him and try how to beat him. There's not enough tape to even know how to beat Mims if you're a defensive end. J.C. Latham, still very young, right? And Alabama's got a host of offensive linemen. So I think his upside is there, but his issue is he didn't test. It puts him in a bucket of guys who haven't panned out in a lot of ways, and it makes me a little bit nervous being a Bengals fan and analyst that they've been down that road before. But then you get Tali Fuanga, who doesn't have the length, even though he's got the size, the height, the weight. He's got the power, and so does Mims, so does Latham. I would say that Fautanu is the weakest of those three in terms of overall power and strength. I would say his balance is the worst out of those three. Four guys total. And that's not what I want, right? So we're talking about a guy who is only 6'3" and some change. He's under 6'4". I think the only tackle in this class that's projected to get drafted that's under 6'4". And it's why a lot of teams probably see him as a guard. And why originally when I watched, I said he's a guard by watching him. Because I think he's got balance issues, because he wants to wrestle. He wants everything to be tight. He looks better in a phone booth. I think he could actually be a Pro Bowl guard, a very, very good guard, which is why I get back to then just draft him. If you like him, fine. I don't have a problem with playing him at guard and having a Zach Martin level guard. Zach Martin was also 23 and a half when he was drafted. The data is conclusive on that too, if you're wondering. Those guys have a higher floor, the 23-year-old rookies, but the lower ceiling. They normally don't develop the way the 21 and 20 and 22-year-olds do. So if we have a year to develop a guy, because we have two starters at tackle, do we want to spend it on a guy that's near his peak already? Or who's never played left guard, and none of these guys have that are being projected, like Fuanga and maybe Latham can play guard. None of them have done it, so it's a transition. But the difference between those guys like Mims and Latham and Fuanga is they are right tackles. So when you need them to step in and play right tackle, they already know how to do it. So you can play Fuanga at left guard, and he can beat out Cordell Volson. And then Trent Brown goes down, you reinsert Volson at left guard, and Fuanga goes into right tackle. You probably can't do that with Troy Fautanu because he hasn't played right tackle. you would spend a lot of the camp in off season and summer developing him to play right tackle, and then say, also, we want you to play left guard. That's a tough ask. So for me, he comes behind all of these other guys, including J.C. Latham, who didn't test. And I've been an advocate for, let's not draft guys who did not test. And let's take the elite athletes. But I also am, take the guys on film that you like the most, number one, and take young prospects because the upside is higher. So that one doesn't get me excited. The Troy Fautanu potential pick at 18 for the Bengals. This has been Bengals on the Brain, presented by First Star Logistics, episode 73. Until next time, Uday.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.